Kesi itakuwa ngumu sana manze, wale wamesoma law watusaidie. Aka kijana mnaona hapa manze kamewekwa pingu, nika kijana aka miaka 9. So kakijana akalikosana na beshte yake wa miaka 9 bado, na wakapigana. After kupigana ikasemekaje, watu wakaona vita ni kama ya kawaida ya watoto, so vijana wakaachishwa vita, kila mtu akaenda kwao. But aka kakijana akalifila pana, beshte yangu amenifanya mbaya sana, but ijulikani beshte yake alimfanya nini. So kakijana kakaenda kakajaribu ku access kisu kwao, kakashindwa. So kakaingia mtaani hapo, kakatafuta mti moja strong alafu sharp kiasi. Kakaenda kakatafuta beshte yake kwao, kakamwekelea mti ya shingo manze, kakammaliza, kalimuua sababu damu ili splash mingi sana. Alafu mnajua mti manze ni mbaya kuliko hata kisu. Mti kikuingia vizuri ni mbaya kuliko kisu. So beshte yake alikufa, watu wakijaribu kumpeleka hosi na kijana akashikwa. So swali iko ni moja, kijanaji ni mdogo sana kupelekwa kamiti, na ni hatari sana kupelekwa juvenile, sababu juvenile kuna pelekango vijana wa madawa na vijana wamesumbua wazazi, si wauaji manze. Ni nini ita happen kwa huyu kijana? Sababu sidhani kama kuna kijana mwingine hii Kenya yetu ashaiua mtu at this young age manze. Kata kwa jela yake peke yake, sijui kutaendaje.
Bunge, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to BAV. This is Bunge Audio Visual. Yeah. So you've seen the video, and what happens when a child commits murder? So this is just a good example of some of the 1 in a million cases that have actually happened some other parts of the world. But for the first time, I think this is a 1 in a million case that has happened in our country, Kenya. And the question is, what happens when a child just 9 years old takes life? And not by accident, not in self-defense, but out of anger. Unaona? So that is a very simple argument between two friends that actually turned out into a case that has left the country in shock, raising difficult questions about justice, accountability, and the limits of our legal system. So let me just give you a breakdown of whatever actually happened. And talking about the incident, you've seen the way the guy has explained, and you've seen the picture of the boy who actually murdered his friend. His former friend, and as you're speaking, this is how the story was, and this is how it goes. So the two young boys, who are barely 9 years old, got into an argument, something trivial, something that kids fight about all the time. You know, these petty issues zenye watoto wanapigana kila time. Umechukua toy yangu na kupiga, ama umenifanya hivi na nipiga, umenirushia kwa macho na kupiga, unaona, because children are usually temperamental. And so these two kids actually come into a small disagreement, a very petty issue. So they get into an argument. Then something trivial, something I don't know. Parents actually step in to ensure that they actually try and mediate over the issue, or rather help to resolve that particular issue that the children are experiencing. Wamekosana, wazazi wamekuja na separate, and probably expect them to forget about it the next day. But for one of these boys, it wasn't over. He wasn't yet done. So fueled by anger, he picks up a tree branch, or rather a branch of a tree, and returns to his friend and strikes him. No. Then maybe he didn't mean to cause real harm. Maybe he just wanted to settle the score. But in a moment of rage, he crosses a line he never imagined. So anakuja na piga umse na a branch of tree. Then unfortunately his friend bleeds heavily and collapses. Unaona? Because first aid ilikuwa inataka kupewa. He was the other guys were actually seeking for first aid so as to save the child, the life of the child, but ilikuja ikakuwa late. Then the child dies, and now the 9-year-old finds himself in a police custody, accused of something he could never have anticipated, and that is murder. Unaona? So the question of the day is, was this murder premeditated, or did it come out by accident? Because I'm pretty sure the moment children usually fight, wanaonanga ni kama I'm just hitting my friend, then tukosana kidogo, the next day we're going to play together. But to this one, this is actually a special case, or rather a different case, unaona, because he hit his friend with a branch of with a tree branch, then his friend bled to death, unaona. So let's talk about the second issue of how the second issue on talking about the second issue. We're talking about the legal and social dilemma. No. Because now here is where things get complicated in Kenya. So in our country, Kenya, a child this young cannot be sent to prison. At the same time, the juvenile detention is meant for cases involving drugs, theft or other similar offenses, but not cold-blooded murder. I mean, remember, this one is a special case. That's what I'm saying. This one, in this particular case, you're dealing with murder, but without malice aforethought. Then it's not premeditated murder. That is murder, but that murder that actually happened without the child, without, it wasn't a deliberate murder case. It was something that happened by accident. That's why I'm calling it a 1 in a million case. So, in as much as juvenile detention is meant for cases involving drugs, theft, or other similar offenses, not cold-blooded murder, I think, I don't know, this isn't just any murder case. It's unprecedented. And never before has a child this young committed such an act in Kenya. So in this particular case, the question is, what do we do? Is he accountable for his actions, or do we just say he didn't fully understand what he was doing? And can justice be served when the perpetrator is too young to face real punishment? So these are some of the questions that are actually leaving many scratching their heads. Talk of the lawyers who work with the legal system. Talk of the parents of both the child and the one who actually died, and the society at large. Because for somebody like me, if you ask me about this particular case, I'll simply say it's murder. Whether it's unprecedented or not, it's murder. For me, it's murder. And since murder in some countries is a capital offense, I think the only kind of decision that is actually going to be made by the judicial system is something that is similar to what do you say? I think the only decision that the court system is going to make is the one that is actually going that will fit that kind of felony, or rather that kind of offense. Yeah. So we also need to ask ourselves. So after this unfortunate incident has happened, what next? So for me, I'll say there's no easy answer to this case, because do we place the blame on poor parenting, or do you actually place it on a violent environment, or is this just an anomaly, one of these rare tragic moments where a child acts without knowing the full weight of his actions? And as Kenya struggles to decide the boy's fate, one thing is actually clear. This case has opened a discussion we've never had before, and maybe it's time we started talking about how to handle such situations before they happened again. Because at the end of the day, we do understand that at some point there are usually some special cases that actually come, and it gives so many people a very, very difficult time, especially the ones working in the judicial system. It gives them a very, very tough time opting, or rather tough time making decisions. So I don't know what you think. What do you think, guys? Should this young boy face the consequences, or should he be treated as just a child who made a terrible mistake? Drop your thoughts in the comment section, and let's have this conversation, because I don't know what to say. But as for me, I know he has committed murder, but without malice aforethought. I'm pretty sure, because the parents of the child who was actually dead aren't in the right state to share more of what actually transpired. But what we can say is that at the end of the day, we need to have a fair, or rather just decision to ensure that they are actually served, the parents of the deceased, with just. And we know it's so difficult to solve such a case, but I'm pretty sure at the end of the day, they'll have to make a decision that will at least recompense the wronged family in this particular case. Thank you very much for that. You've been listening to Bunge Podcast. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button and stay tuned for more stories that shake the nation. I'll see you in the next episode.